it doesn't even really matter the size. I just went ahead and we're going to start obviously with a circle. Go ahead and just make a half circle. You could even make it a 3/4 circle. You can make it a whole circle depending on how much of your sunflower you want to show. I just wanted it to be, and when I'm drawing in pencil, this is so light you're probably not going to see. So I'm going to do it in pencil first, and then I'm going to go over it in Sharpie. But you know what, I can already tell on the camera you're not going to be able to see that pencil. So you guys can do it in pencil and go over in Sharpie. I'm going to go ahead and just be brave and go permanent for us. So I have to just, here's my half circle. Now you can see that, yay! And sunflowers have this cool like inner circle on them. I'm going to put that there so you can see it the whole time. And so I just like to, I'll go ahead and make an inner circle. There you go. Now is the fun part, the petals. When we do the petals, how are we doing? Has everybody got their circles? Hi Beverly, my sister's here. We just got started. I'm using a Sharpie so you guys can see. Mute your camera, everybody mute, unless you need to ask a question, mute. But we can see your face. We just, when you talk, then your face pops up on the screen. Okay, so there's our two circles. We have the main flower inside, and then we have the inner circle. And I'm going to go ahead and start with petals. And I just love big sunflower petals. And there you go. Sometimes I'm going to just start adding petals all around. Sometimes I'll make a full petal. Sometimes I'm going to make the petal look like it's behind the other petal by not having the whole side. But just go around and fill in your petals. You're going to see that you run out of room here on this side, and that's okay. I think I'm going to do another big one up here on this side, and then kind of connect one behind those two. Okay, just keep going around and making your petals. And there we have our first row of petals. And then you can do as many rows as you want. On mine, I liked, since I'm doing it in Sharpie, I can't overlap these. I did it in pencil first so I can erase anything. But I did like little petals here and there, kind of down here. Because sometimes little petals are just popping out. And just put them anywhere you want. Don't feel like, oh, where did you put that? I got to do it exactly like that. It doesn't matter if it's exactly like mine. So I just added some little petals. And then I'm going to come and add, peeking out from behind here, just start adding a second row of petals to my sunflower. And you just kind of have to imagine that these are petals over here. And just start sticking it, layering them in there. If you can't see, if my hand is blocking you a lot, holler at me and be like, hey, can't see what you're doing. Because I am not seeing everything you guys are seeing. I think I want one more here. And I think I'm happy with that. That's going to be my sunflower. So if you make it smaller, you're going to have more room for your blue on the outside or your leaf. Let's just make one giant leaf, and it can be kind of any shape you want, because leaves are all kinds of shapes, but sometimes they get kind of curly in the sun. So I just kind of made my leaf going off to the side. And then I'm going to do a double line for my center. And then I'm going to do a few of these. When you're doing a stained glass window, you just want to think about that you're breaking up each piece of glass to hold these pieces of glass in with these little soldering lines. And so I started adding soldering lines to my everything. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that as my petal right there. There we go. And now that we have basically everything done, we're going to start making a bunch of these inner lines. You can see that each petal I kind of broke up into 2 or 3 colors so it would show. And so let's start with the inside of the flower. I'm going to pretend that the sun is coming from the top up here, and so maybe there's a little bit more of a shadow on the bottom of my flower. So I'm going to kind of give a little bit of a double line there. I don't know if you can see that, but I just kind of did a double line there that I'll connect. And then on this bigger circle, I'm going to kind of double that too. So you can see I put like a double line there. And then you get to kind of just have fun with the inside of this flower. I just kind of made like sunflower seed shapes and just kept them going, maybe even kind of a lot like what the petals look like. And I just kind of started out making random shapes, and you just have to think we can't have any empty spots in our flower because it's a stained glass window of a sunflower. You can make diamond shapes, you can make teardrops. So just, you're going to make a bunch of little cells that you're going to paint. And once we start painting, they'll pop. Okay, I need to make those a little bit smaller. It's interesting doing this myself and then doing it again, talking through it, because sometimes you don't know words for what you're doing. You're just like, do little whoop-de-doos or swirls, or so whatever you want to call it. Just start filling in your sunflower center with all these little shapes to make it look like it's an impressionistic look of sunflower seeds in the center of your sunflower. Okay, so I got the center done, and now I'm going to do this outer ring. And on this one I kind of, let's see if you can see that. Oh, where's my camera? Kind of the same deal. I just made little shapes throughout it. So maybe I'll just start here in the middle and kind of, I did a shape very similar to the petals that we did, and then I'm going to do one that's upside down. And maybe just kind of connect them like that. It's kind of cool. You can do it however you want. Just make little cells. This is the quietest young women activity I've ever been to. I hope you're all there. Maybe every once in a while you guys can just unmute and be like, this is awesome, I love it. Or you can do what my little elementary kids say, and they're like, Miss Kay, this is really hard. How we doing, Macy? Okay, I have to yell at Macy in the other room, I guess, because you guys are super quiet, and that's okay. Okay. Just continuing on my little no set plan here, as you can tell. Okay, so I have all these little cells in my flower center. Hope you guys are all doing great. If you need me to slow down, be like, slow down. We can talk and ask questions if you need to slow down. But I'm probably going slower than you guys. So now for my big petals, for my flower petals, I'm going to break those up into 2 to 3 sections, like I said. So I know when I see a flower petal, you're going to have like a light side of a petal, and you're going to have kind of like a shadow side of the petal. So, and sometimes petals curl. So just start breaking up your petals into 2 or 3 little sections, or big sections. It just kind of naturally happens. If you were to see a flower petal, you're going to see that there's shadowing on one side and lighter or shadowing towards the bottom. So in our stained glass flower, we're going to have, and all these little petals I put down here, I'll probably just break those up into one. I'll just cut those in half. Like that. I know that camera's not the best. It's kind of a little blurry. So just go around all of your little flower petals and break them in parts, because a stained glass mirror window would have what you think it would look like, okay? Try and just do them all a little differently. Don't feel like they have to all look the same. Now, even though this up here doesn't look like petals, sometimes I like to break those up too, so it is a petal that's going off the page. Okay, you guys are going to have to, when you're done with your picture, I don't know, did you guys make a post about this on Facebook, or maybe you guys can text your pictures to me, or you can post it on the Facebook page. I would love to see what they turn out like. I mean, we can show them on here too, but it'd be fun for you guys to add a picture or send a picture to each other. Okay, so I just kind of quickly put little extra lines on each of my petals. And now we just have the background to fill in. And you can make your sky look however you want. I wanted my sky to look, let's see if we have enough light, like it was kind of wavy and stripy. Where's the camera? Alright, so I added little waves and stripes to my sky. Okay, so just kind of go from, I would say go from the edge and just start adding waves. And make it as random as possible. Some of them are skinny, some of them are a little wider, but you have to think it's kind of like the air or the atmosphere, and I made them all kind of going in the same direction as my leaf petal. My leaf. The leaf is not a petal, but it's a leaf. Okay, let's do a little bulge there. Fun. If they're starting to look too much the same, then mix them up. I'm going to go ahead and just start filling in squares. And I like to use like the top of my palette to mix colors. If I want to mix colors, I'll put like a little brown and a little black up there. If I want to make a darker brown, I'll add a little black to it. So that's what I do a lot of times there. So now you're going to individually fill in each of those little cells that you created. Like their watercolor. You got to remember that you made a stained glass mirror here, so it's not like you're just going to go ahead and swish over everything. You want to paint each individual cell. So it takes a little bit of time. If you want a lighter brown, then I would take a little bit of orange and mix it with your brown. And I try to not have two cells next to each other that are the same color. So just change the color a little bit. So you're not like making it all the same. I'm going to go ahead and just keep plugging away and painting these. I'm going to get a little bit darker towards this bottom part. I remember we made this bottom down here. It's kind of like the shadow that the top of the flower is making. So I'm going to take my darkest brown that I want to use, and I'm going to just fill in that spot. And also this spot on the inner circle of the sunflower. That'll just kind of give a little bit of depth to your painting. Okay? All right. And if you want to make a lighter brown, another way with watercolors is to just thin your paint out a little more with water. The thicker it is, the darker it's going to go on. So this is the same color, but because I put more water with it, it totally looks lighter. Okay, I'm going to try and show you guys, but I don't have the best lighting here. Yeah. You guys are like, whatever, Sister Kay. We can barely tell what you're doing, but hey, thanks for trying. Yeah, I think I'm going to add a little red to my brown on a couple of these too and make a reddish brown. And get a little more dark brown for this because we want them to be darker down here. That seed is basically almost just the color of black, which is good because sunflower seeds are nice and black. Okay, and then as I work my way up to the top, I'm going to work more in the lighter colors, the lighter browns, more oranges. Just I'm going to slowly work them into lighter colors up here. A lot of paint on that brush there. Oh, log in with your phone. Macy's laptop just died. So this is why it was kind of fun to make bigger cells too, because then you get to go through and fill them all in. And you're like, wow. Depending on how many you made, depends on how time consuming it is. Hi Macy, she's back. If you find a color you really like, you can go around and do several sections. Just try not to do anything right next to each other. I'm going to use mostly my lighter colors up here. Even though they're sunflower seeds, the sun's hitting them up here, so I'm going to put some light colors up here. And then, and I'm only working on the outside of my seeds still. I'm like, okay. My husband and my mom are having a conversation about cottage cheese in the background. Hopefully you guys, hopefully you get to hear that. Okay, so I finished the outside of my circle, and it's kind of wet, so if I tip it too much, I gotta be careful that I don't make it drip. So there it is, and you can see this side I've got more dark colors than the other side. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the center the same way. I'm going to kind of start with the dark and work up and make it lighter as I go up. Okay, so I mix like black and brown together a lot more on this end, and then I mix brown and orange more on the top half. Watercolor is pretty forgiving. One thing you learn about watercolor paint is if you get water on your paper, then it makes it smear. It's kind of a cool technique. Some people use, on some things we do, you can just do wet on wet. But with these, you don't really want it to smear. So I have to be really careful to keep it inside each cell. Let's see. I'm going to start working in a few lighter colors so it's not all the same here. Oh, that's kind of the same. I better change that up. There we go. If you do one and you feel like it's like the same colors next to each other, you can just add it. Like that one was a little too orange, so I added a little brown to it to change it up. Okay. I can see that I need to.
Now these brave mothers going into that dark place to fight for their children, while now she sits on his horse doing nothing.
All right, how's everybody doing? Is anybody else painting yet? I bet you are.
Still working on the pencil.
Okay. Sounds like they figured out that we're teaching a painting class in here. They're like, oh. There's Cameron. Say hi.
They can see me?
Cameron's got the little cat.
Sister Knudsen,
Yeah.
do you do art classes?
I have not really done a lot of art classes. I would love to start though. That's kind of always been my goal in life, is to become an art teacher at home for kids that want to take art from home or at my house. Or this is the perfect time to start, right? Now that we can't go anywhere. Okay, so yeah, talk to me more if you want to do something. Okay, so I have all my little cells, and you can see what a difference it makes when you try and get colors different. If you were to put all the same color next to each other, it just wouldn't give that same effect as having a bunch of different colors. It's kind of cool once you start looking at it up. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and start my next phase, which is the petals. And I am going to just go and do all my, this one's a lot faster for me because it's basically, I did like yellow, orange, and red. I kind of mixed the three colors so they're not all exactly yellow, orange, and red all the time. I'm putting a lot of water in my yellow to get it ready. Because what I'm going to go do first is I'm going to go on every single petal I have and I'm going to pick a yellow section. And to me, I think if I were looking at this sunflower, I would think that the center, the sun is getting the center the most. So I'm going to pick this pretty much most of the time, the center section of each of my petals, I'm going to make yellow. But you do not have to do that. Mix it up a little bit from time to time. Maybe the sun's hitting the top of one petal more than others. Remember, the sun's coming from the top, and so if you see a petal that's turning in a certain way, you think that the sun would hit it. So the yellow is going to be your brightest part of the flower, obviously. And so I'm going to make one of my 3 sections yellow. If you only have 2 sections in the flower, you can either choose to make it yellow or you can choose to make it orange and red. You can choose. But the most important part of this is making sure you don't you're not just slapping paint on all of it together. It is to breaking up the colors into different sections. That's what makes it look like a stained glass. Okay, so go through and put in all your yellow sections. Make this one have a yellow section on the side because it's alright, and then I have these back petals and I'm going to add yellow to actually not always the center on some of these. I'm going to move it around a little bit, like I think the sun's shining on the top of that petal, and I think it's shining on the top of that one more too. And this one we'll go with it in the middle again.
Sister Knudsen,
Go.
would gray be a good color for the seeds?
Yeah, you can add a little gray. You just don't want them all to be the same color. So I would think gray would be great because sunflower seeds are black and white and gray. So you can work with gray. Just do different varieties, different variations of gray to black to brown. If you don't want any brown on your seeds, then just use black and gray, and just the more water you add, the lighter it's going to be. Can you guys see that okay? I'm trying to adjust this light so sometimes it's so bright that it washes out what I'm doing.
Well, I have thin paper, and so I didn't use watercolor. Also,
That was
because
smart.
I didn't want to go outside.
So what are you going to
so
color
I'm
yours
just
with?
using, I'm using crayon and markers and pens, so I don't really know. I kind of just use all of my art supplies when I'm doing something. So.
Cool. I'm excited to see how that turns out. That's what I was really trying to find a project we could do together that you don't have to have exactly what I'm doing. That's why I was like, you can paint it, you can color it, you can use colored pencils. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out with all that variety. That's great. Great, great. Okay, I think I have every petal, making sure that every petal I want to have a yellow section has one. I'll show you what that looks like. So there's all the yellow sections. Okay, so now I'm going to work with orange, and I'm going to probably use a variety of orange, like I mentioned. In watercolor, the more water you add, the lighter it's going to be. So I'm probably going to do some light to dark orange depending on if it's the shadow side or... For this, it's just stripes. If we were doing it in any other way, we'd probably shade the flower a little differently, but on this one, I'm basically just doing it in... And now, I don't know if I want to just keep that same pattern all the way around and make it look exactly the same. So I'm probably going to move my orange from different sides so I'm not just making all these identical looking petals. Because I feel like it's just too uniform that way. So try and break it up a little bit. Unless you love it to be perfectly uniform, go for it. But I'm going to just make a judgment call that I don't have every petal look exactly the same. Okay. And if I want to mix paint, what I do is I just carry some up here to my lid, and I don't know what you're using, and then I can add water to it to thin it down. I can add red to it a little bit if I want to make it a darker orange. You can add a little yellow if you want to lighten it. So that is the cool thing about these paint sets, is it's built in with a little palette for you. Go back to some little straight orange here. Okay, some of these, it looks like I made the yellow on the side, so I'm going to put this orange in the middle. Cool, you guys, this is so fun. I hope you're having fun. Try not to let it stress you out. Just have fun with it. Now I have like 2 oranges that I ended up being next to each other here, so I'm going to just make this orange a little darker so I don't have 2 cells that are the same color next to each other. If you're using crayons, then mix your colors or be random, whatever you're doing. So does anybody know how many people we have on with us tonight? I always forget to ask, and then I end and I'm like, oh, I don't know who was there. I don't know how many people. Caitlin, your job can be to count and tell us how many people are here with us tonight. Man, there must be like 100.
There's like 11.
Cool.
But some households have more than one.
Oh,
so.
true. You're right. That's a good point. So we can count 3 for the papulas, 4 for the papulas, right? And that's cool.
Yep.
And the hotness. That's awesome. Okay, I think I'm getting close to being done with my orange. There might be a few places that I'll add as I go, but here is just my second color on there. I tried to make it a little more of a variety as I went around, adding a little red to it here and there, and so it would be a little bit broken up. And now I'm going to go with mostly red on this one, and I'm going to add a little red to everything. A red section or a light red, a pink, salmon. Let's just see what this does. And again, if you have 2 red sections next to each other, try and change them up a little bit. Water it down, make it darker. Red is a primary color, so I'm trying to think if we add what colors we want to add to it to make it darker. If you want it to be a little bit deeper of a red, you can add a little bit of, a tiny bit of blue if you want it to have some of that. You can play with your colors and make them fun if you want. So I'm basically just to the point where anything that's still white, I'm going to paint it some kind of a red. You can see I had a little bit of water there. My colors kind of bled together a little bit, which is okay. This little petal, I forgot to put a line through the middle of it, so I'll have to add a line once I'm done, because it just looks like it's floating there without any solder to hold it together. Okay, I'm going to turn this. And make sure you don't leave a whole lot of white on your paper. Get it all filled in with one color or another. It really does help to have a little bit thicker paper when you're working with watercolor, but if you don't, that's okay. I just have learned the hard way that I have a tendency to like rip the paper up a little bit if I'm not careful. So if you have thin paper, you just need to be a little more careful not to rub the paper into shreds, because I've done that before. Okay. Looks like I have a couple spots that I missed, so I'll come back here and do that. The important thing is you don't leave any spots white, even the little corners. It just helps it pop. Okay, so this is what I have going on so far. It's looking pretty cool. Let's see if we can see it. There we go. Okay. Show it to that camera. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my leaf. And I have like a bunch of old rags that I like to use when I paint, because I don't like to waste paper towel. And I just have all these old rags and I wipe my paint on them, and then when it's dirty, I'll throw them all in the wash together and they come out beautifully stained but soft again and ready to use. I definitely have used a lot of paper towel in my day, but I'm trying to save the earth now, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm saving my pocketbook because I have to buy those now. All right, so for my leaf, I'm going to go ahead with just some straight green and start filling it in. And just like everything else, try not to lay the same colors next to each other. So for the green, I did light green, I did dark green, I did blue green, I did blue, I did straight thick green. So just kind of make them all. I'm going to kind of make my little stripes all the same color, I think, just for the fun of it. Basically like the straight rich Kelly green. And then I'm going to fill in all the other sections with blue and green. Okay. I feel like when you add blue to a leaf, it kind of gives it a little more, like it's a darker side of the leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and make this side of the leaf that's supposed to be on the shadow side, like because this whole flower's been a little darker on this side. Not the petals though, apparently. I'm going to make my green more blue on this side though. But you do not have to do that. You can be like, I don't like that. Don't do it then. Or do it, let it be what it is. Okay. We're coming up on an hour here. Thanks for being so patient. I know that if you have to go right at 8 o'clock, because we said we were going to go till 8 o'clock, obviously, I'm going to add a little yellow to my green for the top side, so it's a little brighter green. Anyway, but if you do need to get off, then I understand when you have to go. Just please finish and send us a picture, and maybe your leaders can put a group of pictures together and post them for everyone to see. But I would love to see what you guys are doing, what you finish. So we're just going to keep going for it'll probably be another 15 minutes or so. We'll power through this now. But I do like to acknowledge that it is almost time. I think I'm going to switch up some of this blue over here. It looks too much the same to me. But let me try and not put a hole in my paper. Okay, just broke that up a little bit. Okay, so there's my petal. Let me see if I can get it close enough so you can see it. There you go. And I actually kind of like this little section over here. It looks like the petal folded over. I didn't even do that on purpose, so I might just make that a little bit of blue-green, like it's the back side of the petal that folded over, and it's a little darker for the heck of it. But this sky is going to be all blue anyway, so it kind of matches. Okay, so now as I do the next section, I'm going to go ahead and do varieties of blues and purples in my sky. Here's my original so you can see what I did there. I did purple and blue, and I kind of lean towards more of the purplies to keep it away from being greenish, like I already had everywhere else. Do dark sections, do some light sections, just make them all look really different next to each other. Mixing up a little bit of purple here. There we go. I have to be careful that I don't get my paint in another section, or they'll start to bleed together, like my blues just started bleeding together there because I touched them together. I'm going to water my blue down and make this next section a thin light blue. I like that trick. And then this one I'll make it thicker again with just the straight blue. And then I think we need a purple section on mine. One thing that I love about colors is if you were to look at a color wheel, whatever is across from whatever colors are across from each other are complementary, and yellow and purple are colors that are complementary, and yellow and blue and purple. So whenever you put yellows and blues together, they kind of look cool together. Yellow, purple, yellow, blue. Okay, I'm going to spin my thing around and do this side. Cool. This is so fun. Okay, I kind of love this aqua color that I created up here. I don't know how I did that, but it's got a little, probably has a little bit of the green in it, but it looks good. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do a straight on blue section because I haven't done that for a while. You guys are so quiet. I'm used to teaching the elementary school kids. We've done 2 art classes so far, and it's really hilarious. They'll be like, Miss K, and they'll just tell me random things that they've done, or it's adorable. I love it. Last week in the little kid class we painted the chameleon. Maybe some of you guys saw that. I posted the chameleon video, and it was so funny to hear how many kids had seen a chameleon and all their stories about chameleons. Okay, I decided to go random and add a little greenish blue to this section. And I like it. I like it a lot. Let's get some purple. Need some purple here. Break up these colors. I'm really getting close. I only have 2 sections left, and then I'm going to come around and see what you guys have been doing. You guys are going to get to show and tell. Need more blue, purple on that one. Okay, let me show you what I got going here. Okay, I'm not very good at finding the camera, so oh, there it is. Hello. There's my sky. There's my whole picture. I'll take a photo of it and post it so you guys can see too. And then the last step I'm going to do, even though I already did Sharpie, and if you did Sharpie, you're going to do this too. But I'm going to go over all of my black lines again so they really pop, because you can see the difference. Like, I've covered up most of my black lines. So I'm going to go back over all the black lines with the Sharpie again. And here it is. I put it in my pocket. So as you guys continue painting, I'm going to go and start going over my black lines again. And making them stand out a little bit more. And that takes a little bit of time. Anywhere that I covered in paint and it's lighter, I'm going to go over it. And there's a few places I forgot to put a line, like on this petal, so I'll add one. Some of my black lines get pretty thick, but I kind of like that. So it's up to you how thick you want them.